I watched Back in Action, not to be confused with Back in Action or Looney Tunes Back in Action or this one, Doom 2. Can't even pretend to pronounce that because I don't know what noises those letters make. But there's another Back in Action. So Cameron Diaz came out of retirement for this movie, and I think this is the first movie that Jamie Foxx has done post-stroke. Not positive about that, but it just feels like that would make the most sense to me timeline-wise. I'm glad they're both here because they're two incredibly charismatic and likable people playing maybe the least likable characters I've seen in a movie like this. Like, they are bloodthirsty murderers and they get off on violence. They only joined the CIA because the CIA is an organization that allows you to kill people and get away with it. And that's why they're there. They're not ideologically driven. They don't have any principles. So even if you believe in the cause of the CIA, they don't. The only thing that they believe in is that they used to have a job that let them kill people. And that was pretty cool. Like, that's it. At one point, Cameron Diaz says that she wants to start a coup in a South American country or stop a coup or just be involved in a coup. She just wants to go out and do some cooing. So she doesn't care about like why the coup is happening. She just wants to do some violence and destruction, and she wants to do it there because you can get away with it there. So like, even if you are an absolute American imperialist and you think that it's our right to go to other countries and overthrow their governments to install like puppet governments that are more friendly to American corporations or whatever, they don't care about that. They just care about the murder. They love murder. And it would make them horrible and incredibly unlikable if you didn't have Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx in the role. The big takeaway for me from this movie was just film structure. In a lot of ways, it felt like a throwback, and not just because it stars two big movie stars from like the 90s, but its structure threw a big curveball. It was almost like a twist. Like, the twist was, for me, was that there wasn't a twist. Like, I'm so used to these action movies having a false third act. And it got me thinking, like, is our normal 3-act breakdown for plot, like, is that even a thing anymore? Like, is that relatable? If we're teaching that to film students, then we're teaching them some ridiculously antiquated thing, because this movie follows it. It follows like a normal action movie 3-act structure, and it felt different. I was like, this doesn't feel like how movies usually feel. During the entire climax of the film, I'm waiting for the reveal that this is a false climax, and what, really the real villain is in a different place, and we got to go find him there. And it's, or we think we've caught the bad guy, but really, you get in the car and it turns out that the person driving you is another thing, and they take you to a third location, and it's like, just none of that happens. The climax is the climax. We go into the big third act action sequence, and that's it. It's just that. It's the whole thing. It's like, oh, well, I'm going to spoil it a little bit. He took their kids. They got to go get their kids back. They get the kids back, and, there we go. I'm not used to that now, though. I was thinking, like, dear God, I'm used to these 2-hour and 40-minute action movies where that would just be a sort of big middle of the movie climax type of thing, and we'd have a bunch of other action sequences after that. But this movie didn't do that. It followed a typical action movie structure that you would have seen. That's almost like formulaic in the past, and I think we tried to deviate from that formula by inserting these false third act twists, where it's like, you thought this guy was the villain, actually the real villain's over here, and we got to go have a whole other fight. But there's none of that in this. It's just like, it kind of seeds a potential sequel, but it doesn't leave a whole lot of loose ends for us to try to wrap up. There's no extra thing at the end that they have to do. The epilogue is just Jamie Foxx coaching his daughter's soccer team. Like, just really normal movie stuff. And I just kept thinking, man, this movie got me in and got me out in like an hour 40, which kind of made me think, like, there's some kind of budgetary issues. This doesn't feel like a very large budget movie, but it does feel like it wants to look like it's very sleek, it's very clean. There's lots of effects and explosions. There's really good actors. You'll recognize a lot of the adults in this movie. But all in all, it's probably a lot cheaper to make one of these big budget Hollywood looking action movies for streaming if that movie's not 3 hours long. So I guess go watch it. If you got Netflix, give it a look. It's only gonna take a little over an hour and a half of your time, and you'll get some fun moments and good laughs out of it. Another takeaway I had though was just that we don't typically make super pro spy movies here. Like, I think we kind of do an American thing where we're very pro like soldier, but we're very against institution. Like we don't have a lot of trust in the government or the CIA to do what's right by us or by anybody else. Even if you're the most like patriotic, jingoistic person there is, you probably still like Jason Bourne, right? You're probably not like, why they got to make them the bad guys, huh? Like, you're probably on Jason Bourne's side because again, we're usually really pro like individual soldier and kind of against the organization. And this movie isn't really against the organization. It's very pro individual soldier still. Like Cameron Diaz and Jamie Foxx are still the heroes, but the bad guy is not the CIA. The bad guy is a former CIA operative, but he's not. He doesn't work there anymore. So it's like a little bit of a tweak to how we're depicting the CIA in films and stuff that I don't like very much. Like they should be the bad. We should keep making them the bad guys. Honestly, like one of the things I really found irritating about the movie Black Panther was that like we have to have a couple of white characters for some reason, and one of them is an American CIA agent, and he's like the second hero of the film. Like that's crazy to me. Like you're making a Black Panther movie, and the hero is going to be a white CIA agent helping a coup. I mean, I know it's a coup we're rooting for, but he's only doing it because it's advantageous to like America. So I don't know. That's weird to me. It's like they're supposed to be the villains. Let's keep them the villains.